Verity,
John.
I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Really excited to be here.
Yeah. Tell me, who is Verity Bowditch?
That is such a hard question, and I don't think I can really define myself in a few sentences. I also think I've been on such a roller coaster of a journey that I'm still really carving that out and defining myself. But my core values of things that I always have been and things that will never change is health and wellness enthusiast, Pilates lover, animal lover, really passionate about animal welfare, a problem solver, an opportunist in a good way.
Entrepreneur?
I kind of hate that word, entrepreneur. But I would
Goes
say...
hand in hand with opportunist, though, doesn't it? Opportunity creator.
Yeah, I guess like just putting things together and making something happen. I make things happen. And I don't take life too seriously. I'm here for the journey.
Love that. Is there a destination? Is there a dream?
Oh gosh, my dream sort of changes every year depending on what opportunities I have in front of me and what actually is going to be realistic. There are a few dreams in there that I will make happen. But yeah, as I said, dreams change. Like when I was younger, all I wanted to do was just make a load of money. And then you go through and experience life and death and everything. And you're like, actually, no, it's not just about money. Of course, you need to be like settled, but it's about happiness. It's about freedom.
So well put. I think money is such a driver. And then if you achieve it, or even if you haven't achieved it, you start to realise along the way. And that comes with maturity and perspective, right? That there's so much more to life. Who and what were early influences for you growing up?
So I grew up as an only child. I was raised by au pairs. My mum was working a lot, so I became really independent. Also French au pairs, I'd watch the Dalmatians in French. So I never got to watch anything in English at all, so I really became independent and did a lot of, play on my own. So I guess my own influence was myself and just figuring things out, and I think that's why I became such a good problem solver, is I went into school being like, well, I can do that, why can't you do that? And when people ask me for help, I'm not the best at giving it. I'm not patient. I'm like, you should just figure that out yourself. That is really one of my downfalls. So I guess my mum was a big part of my life. She would just be like, you can do anything. Actually, my first ever boss out of university, which is, if you ever listen to this, he'll be like, what? Why am I an influence? But he taught me that anything was possible. And if you want to it was a sales job selling event production. But if you want to get to the CEO of Yahoo, actually then invested in Clean Kitchen later, you can do it. If you want to get to the MD of Twitter, you can get it. You can reach anyone. And I was 21 years old at this point. So I think that was a big input in my life. Literally, if you put your mind to anything, you can do it.
I love that. And you don't learn that in school, right? You learn that from your mother, and obviously from a working point of view as well. So she was leading by example, which is interesting because you're now an opportunity creator, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
There's a key thing we talked about off camera, where there's less than 2% of VC funding goes to female founders, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to bring into a key part of what you're doing. How much of knowing that your mum was out there working and which built that independence for you and that desire to, how much of that do you think influenced that?
Goosebumps, actually. I think massively, and I think I always had to be the best at anything I did. So I therefore became an all-rounder. I was sort of good, but never amazing at anything. So yeah, I had a huge part, and I think I always wanted to achieve, but I also don't think I'm naturally intelligent. I think I just worked so hard. I got this really massive work ethic from my mum, and I think she'd be proud of me if I was working. But she didn't tell me to work. The only thing I wouldn't do is practice any instrument. I couldn't do that. I hated it.
Yeah.
I'd rather be working than hanging out.
Fair play, but you kind of done both. Actually, you kind of combined the two. I was going to ask a different question, but in terms of work and hanging out, that actually kind of almost brings Made in Chelsea into play.
Yeah.
And not so much the hanging out, but being yourself, lifestyle.
Yeah.
So actually that workaholic side to you.
Yeah,
I want to know how that came to. Yeah.
Great. I can working
you embrace
now.
It. You do embrace it and you use it really well. But tell me how Made in Chelsea came to be, because there's an academic side to you. You went that route.
Oh,
but
yeah.
if you fast forward to then a lot of what's happened to you.
And my dad, I remember he being like, you cannot go on that show. I was like, and he'll still call it The Only Way to Chelsea or something. I'm like, guys, come on, get a grip. Really disappointed in me, going on the show. Dad, you don't understand, there's opportunity there. That's why I'm doing it, because And actually, I wish when I went into it, and anyone doing reality TV now, it's like, know your goal before you are into it. But I really was just like riding the wave of a new experience.
But it was new. But in mind,
I mean,
you know,
I
it's
bought a
like,
life. Like, how cool was that when you're, well, I was 23 when I started doing that.
Because your dad, you know, and I'm going to kind of be the same in context of, you know, they grew up with no social media. So TV was just a box with channels, and it was entertainment. There was no major influence out of it. You can use that word, influencer, right? You can build a career around it now. He wouldn't have necessarily known that, whereas I guess there was enough you grew up around to know this is an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. He's very old school, like doesn't like tattoos, etc. That kind of like vibe, but
traditional.
Very traditional. Where reality TV now is, I guess this is kind of reality TV. Like we're living it.
Yeah.
I think reality TV is great. I really do. But I think having given that platform, like I didn't earn those followers. A lot of people really work hard to do social media. I think a lot of influencers from reality TV took that for granted, and you could earn a lot of money through brand deals. So I sort of achieved that money thing by not really working hard for it. So I felt a little bit like a fraud.
I'd say your core message that unites everything I've seen you put out is authenticity. It's Verity.
Yeah.
Being Verity.
Yeah.
Even to the point where there's some really natural kind of selfies
I think
and so
too much sometimes.
But it's you.
Yeah.
You're not, and you might be promoting a skin product, you know, you might be a skincare product or something, but it's still you being you.
Yeah.
And that, you kind of said that there was this instilled belief from you in a young age. I've got two daughters, 13 and 15, growing up now in a world where they don't want to put anything out on social media.
Yeah, but
and
I went through that. I went through this.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Right, cool.
So to start off with, I was like, oh, I don't care. Like, I don't care that I had like 20,000 followers, didn't care. I'd put anything out. And then only not that recently, maybe like 2 years ago, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was because I was building a business and there was a way more like press eyes on me from
Because it mattered.
Industry perspective, yeah. And I had something to lose. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I would then go, oh, maybe I shouldn't put that off, and then maybe close down my authenticity a bit more.
That's really interesting. So having a purpose. So like a teenage girl that's just putting herself out there to potentially be bullied, to potentially
and people talk,
trolled.
like people aren't nice out there.
No, and a lot of that comes from jealousy, right? So this is where
jealousy for sure.
Yeah, but if you've got a purpose, if you've got a mission, if you've got a reason to post, I guess you cut through that and see. So let's bring up Pilates.
Yes,
because it's a passion of yours, right?
So
when
passionate.
You introduce it, and so when you put out your posts and anything on social media about that, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. As far as is that, am I right in saying? Because it's just you, and you're putting out.
Yeah,
what you...
and I guess it's got like scientific backing behind it. People can't really judge. Yeah, people can't judge it because it's my business that I've created, and I know that is it. I guess. Yeah, I guess I'm very confident in that.
Yeah. So tell me about Pilates.
Yeah.
I've got a reformer at home, which I don't even know how to use. But I know, and it's why my wife got it in the first place. You know, she was enjoying going to Pilates classes, getting the benefits from it. It's just not something that I've got involved in. What are the benefits? And you know, tell me.
I think everyone will end up being addicted to Pilates, no matter how old you are. Like, it's just vital. Like, you go to the doctor and you have an injury, they say do Pilates. Like, it's the natural progression from. It's just self-made medicine, really. But I got into it. So my mum's been a Pilates instructor, like, on the side for years. So I would go to her classes when I was like 12, thinking it was the most boring thing in the entire world.
So you haven't always loved it?
No, I'd be like, oh, can we like speed it up a bit more? Because I was into like, I'd run loads and I'd just take everything to an extreme in life, which I'm getting better at.
That's my experience. You do some stretches, change the bands, and it's like, and I've got my weights over there because I've got a gym at home, and I've got other things, and I'm like, surely I just need to get over there. So there's a patience element to it, right?
Well, you're not doing it right.
Clearly.
If people say that Pilates doesn't work, they're not doing it right.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Definitely not. The patience bit. I was just listening.
Yeah, I guess it's patience, but I think also my mum's classes were for an older generation, and the pace was just too slow for me. I thought, I'm not working out here, I'm not breaking a sweat. Like, this is a waste of my time, and time is precious. But I really got into it actually when I was doing Made in Chelsea, and you had a lot of free time when you were filming. So I thought, well, I'll just, I have a background in like human biology, surely I can just take this test and become a Pilates instructor. And where I'm really into like looking after myself and health and wellness and exercise, always have just absolutely loved it. But I used to, as I said, run loads, like do like Barry's boot camps, do HIIT workouts, and it would spike my cortisol, my stress hormone level so much that I have a completely different physique to now than I did then. Now I'm so much leaner. I've got less water retention because I'm looking after balancing my hormones. And Pilates is the best thing to settle your hormones. So like obviously we have like a cycle as women, and when you're in your luteal phase, that is when you should not be spiking your cortisol. So you shouldn't be stressed at work. You should be really looking after that because it just doesn't go together. So Pilates is great for that, especially hormone balancing. It's great for your posture, of course. You're targeting your micro muscles, not, so you're still sculpting your whole body, but you're not sort of like building yourself up. People sort of want a different physique. And also it's going to prevent injury. So I'm never going to have back pain in my entire life, or fingers crossed, because I'm looking after my body. I'm nourishing it and nurturing it, not hammering it in the gym. And I don't have to leave the house to work out.
So true. So someone watching, listening to this now is like, that sounds amazing. I've never heard of it, or I knew about it, but didn't know it did all that.
Yeah.
How do they connect with you? And my point being that you've got actual classes. Do you have an app? Do you have some way that, because you come at it from a passionate point of view, your own lived experience, but also a scientific point of view, because that's part of your academic, you're
and that's why
chemist,
I love,
if you like.
doing Pilates, because I can bring in, I'm probably one of the only people that uses their degree, and I use it a lot during Pilates and talking to people about how they can improve their health and well-being. But I guess connecting with me, I do amazing classes in the coolest locations like Sunrise Pilates at the Sky Garden, where I'm teaching like 150 people and just like creating the energy and people going, that was really cool. I love creating that experience and people understanding their bodies, and also like correcting people's technique, and they go, oh yeah, I feel that now, like thank you. Or even teaching a client who has back pain now has come so far. I get a lot of reward out of that. But then
fulfillment,
yeah. And also I think I've been through a real big career journey, but I think a big thing is when you're deciding what you want to do is lifestyle. Obviously what you're passionate about, but what lifestyle do you want? I've had a career where I had to stay in London, but now I have an app where I can film classes globally, travel. I mean, that's the dream, right? You can make money
100%.
Wherever you are, and I'm looking after my body.
And you can bring an engaged audience
wherever,
from all over.
Yeah,
I love that.
Exactly.
There's a lot you said there that isn't just physical, it's mental. So like you talked about running and all the things you've done, and Pilates is clearly locked in as a constant, made a business out of it.
Yeah.
But in terms of practicing the mental fitness, if you like, you seem super present, super positive.
Yeah.
Does that come from Pilates as well, or do you do other things as well? Do you get out for walks? Do you kind of meditate?
Me and meditation. I wish I could do that. No, not a chance. I think exercise is just the best natural medicine ever. And I think that is probably why I'm such a positive person, because I try and work out, even if it's for 10 minutes. I think just reconnecting with your body, realigning yourself. I restructure my goals. I rewrite my list. I always write lists, like what I need to achieve that day.
Physically write them down.
Yeah, every morning. I'm
Cool.
in my notes all the time.
Are you morning routine? Do you have a set kind of?
I try.
Yeah, it's a challenge, right?
No, it's literally whatever's in front of me. I'm like, go. Let's go. But I mean, routine-wise, I will always do Pilates, even if it's like, I'll be like on my phone doing glute lifts, working at the same time. But so that's probably
conscious
not...
effort. It's brilliant.
Yeah. No, I think Pilates really is addictive because, and also running, I do really love running. So apparently, I think this is right, 80% of people after 30 don't sprint. And sprinting is so important because you're working your cardiovascular system, you're stopping these things called free radicals going around your body, like harming you and aging you. So everyone listening to this, start sprinting. So I will sprint for like 20 minutes.
Hang on, you can't sprint for 20
minutes. 30 seconds
This is really interesting thing. So in lockdown, I got back into running.
Yeah.
And I read about this whole sprint thing, and I felt amazing for it. It's really annoying because you reminded me. I actually went out of my life. But you're right. As a kid, you sprint to do stuff. As an adult, you don't.
So how amazing do you feel when
you say you sprint for 20 minutes, where?
No.
Because and you go for bursts, right? So you're running, but then you build up to a sprint, and and you feel your strides get longer. You feel the posture go up, and so
exactly. And you just build so many endorphins, and you really feel like you can achieve anything after sprinting.
I remember that feeling. I've got to get back to that.
Exactly.
I've totally dropped it. And I get that with running. And if I'm then going to sprint, I would be concentrating on my next sprint. And God, that was hard. But I'm going to do it again when I get to that tree sort of thing. And then then that's good because it keeps me present in the moment. But I stopped thinking about other things.
Yeah.
So it's just that whole juggling, keeping it all
Exactly, and
going.
I think with Pilates, there's so much to think about. You need to there's like principles of Pilates, so like flow, concentration, core, breath, precision of movement, all these different things that if you have a good teacher, you physically cannot be thinking about anything else. Like, it is therapy.
Yeah. So when we first started talking, there was this whole kind of opportunity creator, entrepreneur.
Being an opportunist, is that a bad thing to
100%
say?
not. No, if you're an opportunity creator, which probably is what aligns us, you're curious. You're looking, you're talking to people, you're seeking knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting.
And also for other people, not just for myself. I'm thinking, actually, you can do, if you meet this person, you can create this whole new business, or why don't you try doing that? So it's not just always for myself.
So what are you doing to satisfy that? Because you've got Pilates, which is obviously like a really important kind of baby you've created, but what other things are you doing?
Yeah, so I used to have a business I walked with, started with, called Clean Kitchen, which was vegan fast food. Long story, they ended up putting meat on the menu. I guess that's a whole other conversation. But through this journey I had of 3 years of starting a business, raising 5 million, working with some of the best brains in the world. Like, we had the ex-CEO of McDonald's involved. We had one of the biggest rock stars, who I can't say because I want the NDA involved.
And you brought these people into the ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
So you did all that as the entrepreneur.
Yeah, like,
brilliant.
Just
or the opportunity creator.
Yeah, I know. Didn't really work out that well,
but you've proven concept. You did all that.
Yeah, of course.
So
and
I can tell there's a negative of frustration there from it, but you've built a platform and you've built a personal brand as Verity to do that again, right?
And
so
also,
what do you want to do now?
And I think from that experience, I thought, I need to tell other people that they can do this. And if you're at school, I never really knew what I wanted to be at school, and that really bugged me when other people knew.
I can parallel that.
It's like, this actually does exist. Like, pure success is having your own freedom and being your own boss and starting your own business. I mean, it's not hard. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, of course. But I really want to empower, especially females, to just go for it. And there's so much. So basically, I started a founders club, to answer your question.
Brilliant.
Where I bring people together, create opportunities for them, and help them maybe raise investment, put their pitch deck together, help them with their business plan, and ultimately just give them the confidence to just go for it. And most of my calls and chats with people, they go, yeah, like, thank you so much for that. I didn't really believe in myself that I could do that. But I don't know why we have these like negative self-thoughts that we can't do something.
So you're connecting all sorts of people and ultimately building opportunity on from that. So that's a business that could flourish into all sorts of other areas, right? Is that what you want to do? You want to be known as someone that's connecting and building opportunities? Yeah,
exactly. And as you said at the start, like 2% of VC funding goes to females. Like, why is that? That's like kind of an embarrassing stat. But I also don't think that that's being done in the industry in purpose. It's because, a lot of males have these leadership positions. A lot of them are, the decision makers in VCs, and there's more and more female entrepreneurs coming through. And I'm just so passionate at telling people, like, you can do that, like, go for it, like, anything is possible.
Is there a confidence issue there? So I'd love to know from like almost if you sort of added up all the conversations you've had, are they lacking confidence? Because I wonder whether there's an archaic, broken system that means that's why less than 2% of female founders get funding, which you could point at. But then is there also a lack of confidence from females that can back themselves, and they need and want someone else to tell them they can do it, that's been there, done that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think confidence is a huge thing, but I also think, having been in business with a lot of males, like, females can, not by everyone, they can be undermined. So when you think that you're not good enough at doing something, or it's, suggested, that confidence gets knocked. So it's not, it's not an innate thing. It happens because of, your life experience and what you've been through. So it's all about building these females up, being like, no, you can do that. Just because you're a female doesn't mean you can't do that. Just honestly go for it. And I think we negative self-talk, as I said, like, as females, that we shouldn't be good enough, or we can't do that. And yeah, I just love pushing people, and people say thank you so much.
Encouraging, mentoring. You're great at that.
Yeah.
And you've got a twinkle in your eye of drive, enthusiasm, passion.
Yeah.
With your own lived experience, what's the one piece of advice you give them?
First of all, go for it. If you keep putting it off and wait for perfection, it's never going to happen. I think launch when you're like 80% ready with a business. Sometimes you never know when you are ready. actually, the one piece of advice has to be passion. Like, if you're not doing a business that you're not passionate about, you're never going to get through. Like, everyone has highs and lows in businesses, but when you hit those lows in business because you're so passionate about that thing, you just have that drive and determination to get through it. So people who, but also you might not be passionate about software, but you could be passionate about who you're working with, or you could be passionate about the problem it's solving. So find a reason for that passion. Like, so my clean kitchen was saving animals, like so passionate about that. And
where did that come from?
Animals.
Yeah.
So my mum used to rescue all different kind of animals.
What, off the road?
Oh yeah, everything. Like my dad carried a sheep home once. I was like, well, people are gonna think I'm absolutely nuts. So he always had sheep. And the sheep would they'd leave the back door open, the sheep would be in the house.
So you lived on a farm, basically?
Well, it wasn't even a farm. The farm was like inside the house. Like, I had a Shetland pony in the dining room once. I was like, this is just totally nuts, guys.
Where was this?
In a place called Owermoyne in Dorset. By the sea, lovely, but I think that's where I really grew my compassion towards animals.
So Dorset's beautiful, right? So actually there's a whole probably love of nature there as well that goes hand in hand.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, really passionate about nature, sustainability, but mostly for sustainability reasons is because I don't want all the animals to suffer in the Arctic when the ice caps are melting. Like, that's where it comes from. For me, it's like the biodiversity that's suffering. Yeah.
There's a drive in you that tells me that there's all sorts of parts of your life that you haven't even begun yet that are going to be successful. Sitting here now, because there's a lot of things you've already achieved and done that anyone would call a success.
Yeah, people have said that to me, and I'm thinking, I don't feel like super successful yet. I feel like I'm just getting started.
So how would you define success?
Well, yes, when I was younger, it used to be I just want to earn over 100k a year, which is kind of crazy, like success.
Honestly, I think as a driven, aspirational person that didn't know what I wanted to do, I'm just paralleling because I don't think there's anything to be ashamed about it. 100%. And I had material things that were actually part of that as well. I had posters on the wall of stuff I wanted to get. So I don't think, but I want to know against all that we've been talking about, like all those things suddenly become really not so relevant, and so like I want to know what. But you think
when you achieve that, that's what cool did that. But then things in life happen. Like I lost my dad this time last year. I left my business that was like part of my identity this year. And having gone through, like, I was really, really like, I think I was depressed. And for me saying that, like, I'm such a positive, optimistic,
I can't imagine you being depressed.
Yeah, me neither. It was really tough times. And I think the one thing, I wouldn't sleep at night because I thought, what's everyone going to say about me walking away from my business? I feel really bad on my investors. Like, that was really tough to get through. And like failure, I just felt like such a failure and like lost confidence. So then having gone through that, success, honestly, is like, it sounds so like cringy, but it's just to be happy, to be healthy, and to have freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want. That's success. I don't really care how much money you have. Well, I do care because I'm still ambitious, but...
And a lot of that sounds really harsh to deal with, right? A lot came to you at once, from your dad to then the business side of things, but sitting now, you probably can at least acknowledge you're a stronger, more resilient version of Verity. You would love to have not gone through any of that.
I wouldn't pay, like, no one could pay me to go through 2024.
Totally. And I think, but do you kind of get that? You're actually, you are in a stronger position. You are, able to take on more challenge and be a better mentor.
Absolutely.
Because you've actually got those moves, rather than someone that could say, well, what do you know? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah, I think I've got a lot more fight in me now. I feel like people cannot tell me who I am, who I'm not, and what I can do, what I can't do. Beforehand, I think I was maybe a little bit more controlled, or like didn't know what I was really good at, or I just wasn't so certain, and now I'm like super certain. So I mean, I've really have come so far in this last year, and I guess if it wasn't for the last year, then I wouldn't appreciate life as much as I do now, and I really want to make the most of it now. Yeah. Like, life is so precious.
No, totally. And so there's a few plates spinning there, right? So you've got the Pilates.
Yeah.
You've got the female founders.
Yeah.
And so actually we haven't covered that, because you said the founders club, but it is very much female-led, right? So can a guy get involved?
Or is it actually of course, anyone. Fun? I love it when the guys gets involved, and I bring people together.
That's necessary, right? I don't think it works when, look at the construction industry, that suffering from mental health, there's not enough women in it, right? So it doesn't work when sectors become dominated by one sex.
It's working all together, and how can we,
Yeah.
you know, you as guys, you have qualities that maybe we don't have as girls, and like vice versa. So how can we really use that, building it all together? But it's mostly female driven, just because I've been through that process of raising investment, finding it really hard, being a woman in business, finding that hard, also coming through and enjoying it at the same time, because there's perks of that. But it's, that's why it's mainly driven through the female led thing.
I get that, which is super mission aligned with me. Like I said, dad of 2 daughters, and want them to be able to follow their passions and their dreams and have role models that they can look to and go, she's killing it, and she's killing it, so you know, I'm going to go. I'm going to give it a go. Not
enough like education at school as well about being an entrepreneur and starting your own business. Like, why are we not taught all these basic things? That
we all get taught how to use a Bunsen burner.
Yeah.
And we're not taught financial literacy and entrepreneurship. And with AI coming in, that's taking away potentially so many jobs, you've got to start thinking the way that you do.
I think everyone will be working for themselves in the future, because we're sort of brainwashed at school to just have a job. And I mean, if you're going to get a job, doing something like, you know, having a skill like a plumber or being a carpenter, I think that's the coolest thing to do, because that can never be taken away from you. But I think naturally, I feel like a lot of people want to be founders now. We've like glamorized this founders thing, when actually it's bloody really hard to be a founder.
It is. Let's open that up, right? Because you're so raw and authentic on your social media, which is where people can really kind of see you and see what you want to put out, right? The reality of Insta versus reality is that it's some hard graft, right? You know, so whether it's me, you, or anyone that's putting it out there and kind of sort of making it look like it's not a lot of sweat and effort, it's hard graft, isn't it? Harder than working in a job. Because you could argue you just go at 9 and you leave at 5. That's not my day.
But yeah, business isn't for everyone. You've got to really want it. And you really, as I said, there's serious lows. Like, you be faced with serious challenges the bigger you get as well. And when you start raising investment, you need to be really, you really have to want that. That's why my one piece of advice is you've got to be super passionate about it, because that will help you get through anything.
Yeah.
But starting business isn't for everyone. But it gives you that, you know, that freedom. And who wouldn't want to be able to do whatever they want, whenever they want, wherever in the world? Maybe some people don't, but to me that's heaven.
Yeah, I get it. Freedom is everything, right?
Yeah.
And they make your own decisions. And I've got one final thing I want to ask you, which is something we've talked about off camera, an aspiration of yours, a dream of yours that you now want to put into reality.
Yeah.
Tell me what that is.
It's acting. Yeah. So I've secretly, I also live by this thing where don't tell people things if you haven't done it yet. You just tell everyone.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So I've been secretly taking acting classes, which was
You don't know who's watching and listening, right?
Oh yeah, good point. Let's talk more about it. And I was on like Casualty when I was younger. Like, people don't know that about me. I was a childhood actress, and then obviously went into reality and stuff. But
that must have helped with reality TV, right? It wasn't a massive.
Because
you went academic, but you had that experience as well, right? So they married.
Exactly. And I just love acting. I come out of an acting lesson and I'm just like, oh my god, it's the same as like running. Really, it gives me that adrenaline. And life is so short. So even though I'm maybe the third way through my life, like, I'm gonna do it, and nothing is gonna stop me.
100%. And I know you're making dream role, dream kind of acting role.
Oh, it's got to be like a big old feature film, hasn't it?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see that happen.
All right, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
I could talk to you for a lot longer, but we
ran
out of time.
So quickly.
I know, but you're awesome to talk to.
Yeah, thank you for having
looking forward
me.
to staying in touch as well. Thank you,
big
Verity.
things coming.
Definitely.